All right. So this, privileged to be joined by Rebecca Clarke. For those that don't know Rebecca, she's you should be ashamed of yourselves, but she's obviously a professional elite long course triathlete from New Zealand, and we've just had the privilege of watching her compete on the world stage for the last 12 months or so. So to have Rebecca on the podcast is it is an honour. It's a little bit starstruck for us. We were sitting there watching you guys on the TV, and to actually be sitting, almost face to face having a chat online as opposed to in person is pretty cool. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. Yeah, great to be on and have a chat. Ahead of a few more races to finish the season.
Yeah. You couldn't have. You've still got a little bit to go, and obviously October 14th is the goal for Kona. Or is that the number one goal? I'm guessing these other races are still up there, but that's got to be the carrot.
Yeah, it's been the one that I've been looking forward to all year. I feel like it hasn't been that long since I was there last year. Like, I don't feel like that it's already been nearly 11 months since I was on Kona. I feel this year has gone really fast. It's been busy, but I think like at the moment I'm quite relaxed. But I think when I think of getting to the island and being in that environment again, that really excites me.
Gets you back into So I mean, it's an interesting season because it's, I guess, I sort of was a triathlon fan from a long time ago, and started following Ironman, I suppose, when I was 19 or 20, I guess. So in the early days, it was just seems to be New Zealand athletes in particular were doing Taupo, and then if qualified, go to Kona. That seemed to be just two. There's nothing, the odd 70.3, or you might find the odd Tin Man or something to do, but you guys just seem to have high profile, like, balls to the wall racing every few weeks now. So that must be a challenge to juggle, I guess. So
yeah, it's a balance of how many races, and you do want to race everything, but with the amount of races between all the organizations, between PTO and Challenge and Ironman, you just can't race everything. I think talking to, like, I know Cam Brown and Joe Lawn pretty well, and I think that was like 2 or 3, March Taupo, and then maybe like an Ironman Frankfurt or a Roth or something, and then onto onto Kona. But I think there's so many more opportunities now, and you kind of want to grab hold of them, and you have to kind of manage what works for you, and it ends up being quite a busy year, but
it's pretty cool nonetheless.
While you can.
Yeah, well, I think that's it, isn't it? I mean, you've obviously the career can be quite long, but it's like anything, isn't it? You don't know what's around the corner. So I guess you always got to think positively, but you may as well race and take the opportunities, like you say, that are there, because we never know what's opportunities arrive, or you might miss a race because of an injury in 6 months' time and you've canned the wrong one or something. So it's pretty impressive. It's cool to watch from our angle. That's why we, like I said to you off here with the podcast, the goal isn't to to get into any of the Ironman versus PTO or any of that sort of stuff. We're just genuine triathlon fans, and I think for us to see you guys, all of the athletes, international athletes, but obviously Kiwis like yourself and Braden and Hannah and others sort of on the stage, and not just turning up, like as in the mix, is amazing to watch, and to get more than one opportunity to watch it a year is even better. So it's the coverage for PTO is fantastic. It's you probably don't get a chance to review too much of it, but they do an incredible job from a much more of that sort of Formula One style splits and sectors and heart rate and power and that kind of stuff. We know it's obviously not 100% accurate, but it's amazing to watch. So
I think they're trying to bring more into it. We are it's interesting. Working out how to put, we're putting heart rate monitors on, and we have like a GPS tracking device in the back of our tri-suit. So it's a bit like innovation as well, and like my tri-suit sponsor, when they then put a pocket in my next tri-suit, so
cool,
the one didn't have to be sewn in, so
duct tape to the back.
I mean, I think for some athletes, and especially if you have something that doesn't have a full back, there was like some people would have it taped onto their back. But
so did that cause any resistance, or just slightly off topic with that? But I mean, I'll go back to sort of pro cycling sort of world. If that sort of, I've got a bit of background, not as a pro, but certainly been involved with that sort of world. But there's no way you'd be getting the top 20 road cyclists in the world to share their power data. They just wouldn't do it. You guys, was there a bit of resistance among the ranks from anyone to do that, or are you guys all just a different mentality? It's just get on with it and move on? Or?
Yeah, I think a lot of triathletes are pretty open with that. Because you can give out your power number. It doesn't. I don't think it should be a big secret, because it's also quite individual. Like someone's, just because someone's hitting 300 watts, it's still different for your weight and your aerodynamics. So I think everyone was more, is this going to be like uncomfortable during the swim or things like that? You can kind of feel it. I remember talk it in Ibiza about kind of feeling it in your wetsuit. But I just thought, well, if as long as everyone's doing it, if everyone has the same, then everyone will be slightly or not, affected by it. So I just like, I don't let it concern me. No. I could feel a little bit sometimes on my helmet, like hitting it, but it's probably the case for some other girls too. Yeah,
like you say, it's not like they've only picked 10 people, like 10 of you to do it. The whole field's got it. So it's the advantage of disadvantage is equal for all, isn't it? So it's data, and that's quite interesting. A lot of people are quite secretive about that. We even find that with people we're coaching or you follow on Strava, and that some people sort of really worried about it. But like you say, it doesn't really matter. Like you kind of, if you're so your wattage on the day versus someone else's wattage is for you guys, you're just racing for the race, not necessarily probably different for an Ironman length when there's a lot more pacing involved. But those PTOs are almost you guys seem to treat them like a short course race where you just go at it,
Yeah, it's almost like, I feel like it's almost 2 Olympic distances twice through.
yeah. It's actually interesting, because we just caught up with Nicole Vanderkay about a month ago, and she was talking about the obviously short course, and then long course for them is the Olympic distance, and she referred to, I think it was the long course hangover that they get for a couple of days after like a full gas Olympic distance race. I mean, you guys, like you say, it's almost, that's very similar intensity for quite a bit longer. How does it feel? Like, does it feel different to an Ironman? Does it do you recover reasonably well from it? What's the feel after it?
I think it does. Yeah, it does feel like, I remember at Milwaukee, I was like, like 40k, and I'm kind of right on my limit here. And I've got to go twice again, and but I think it's, I know, being a little bit shorter than a half Ironman, even though the intensity's up, like I don't feel like I'm more like I think I'm probably like straight away a bit more wrecked, but I seem to bounce back because you're out there for a little bit less time. I still feel like the Ironman, how long you're out there, still takes a much longer time to recover. Whereas I feel like that distance, like you do feel pretty tired the kind of couple of days after. But then I think the recovery is kind of faster after that.
Yeah, right. Not quite so beaten up, but just obviously the intensity at the time is very difficult. But sort of the recovery process isn't trying to run a marathon off a bike, so it's you can bounce a little bit quicker.
Like 18k compared to the 42k run. It just it's like more painful, but there's like a little bit less muscle damage at the same time. So. Yeah,
it's different, isn't it? Like we quite often people that haven't done them before. Well, obviously I've never raced a PTO, but people that for half Ironman kind of distances, it's they are entirely different. We're trying to write articles about that now around thresholds and stuff like that, because you talk about the threshold you'll hold for an Ironman versus the threshold sort of pacing for a PTO event. They are different, but they come with their own. Although Ironman's effectively slower and more paced, it's still, that comes with a different level of fatigue than a short, hard, and fast kind of Olympic distance event. So they're different beasts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it takes me I feel like I can bounce back from an Ironman now faster than I did my first one.
Right.
But like my first one, I was wrecked for like a month afterwards. Whereas now I can kind of get back into training like 2 weeks after. I can kind of a week off and then a week really easy and then into it. But then the PTO race, you might be racing the week after or 2 weeks after. So.
Well, yeah. And it's obviously a testament to your general fitness and condition, and like nutrition and strength and all that sort of stuff comes into it, which I'd like to tack into a little bit later on, is to see what sort of does go on behind the scenes, because it obviously that makes a big difference as well. So keen to rack your brain a little bit about that for people listening, to see what you do actually do. But if you don't mind, do you mind just kicking off? We sort of danced around already into the PTO, which is cool, but just interested to find out where you are now and what part of the world you're in for people listening, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm not too far from home at the moment. Decided to come to Cairns as a base, pre-Kona. So, yeah, hopefully September can be quite humid here.
Right.
Yeah, it's been getting up to about 28 degrees here,
Wow.
which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's not like overly hot to get when you're doing quite a lot of training. But yeah, nice weather. And I have another pro, Penny Slater, to train with here. And also got like it's when I left New Zealand, I was going to be away for like pretty much 6 months. So
wow.
There's a lot to plan and a lot of like financial goes into that. So
I'm sure, yeah.
Managed to have this place is house sitting. So yeah, kind of helps to.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
With the funding of the trip, so
one less thing to worry about, because that must get expensive to be on the road that long, no matter what you. I think people think that you guys are all sponsored with millions of dollars of government funding and that, but it just doesn't, not quite like that. So I imagine those things have to, those sponsor and prize money dollars, you have to think about it, because it's got to make you better for the next race. So to go and blow it on accommodation, no doubt that is a juggle throughout the year. So
yeah, I spent like time in Girona, and that was that was a pretty reasonable. Like it's quite a full cost of living and thing is pretty good there.
Okay.
And I kind of looked at potentially going to the US, but it was quite expensive there, and it just ended up working out quite well to come here. And
awesome. Yeah,
you're not too far then to go in Hawaii, and I'm going to do one more race before Kona, which is Sunshine Coast. So
okay,
it's, an easy 2-hour flight that I'll head just 2 days out from the race next week, and then head back here.
Awesome.
For about 3 weeks, and then it'll be to Kona.
Oh, so you'll stay in Cairns until apart from that race trip, until you go to Kona from there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, so you get a real good block in good hot weather and just focus build up.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like you're just in a place where it's just you're mainly you're doing a swim bike run and you're recovering, and maybe like a little bit boring at sometimes, but sometimes you just need that to get the quality of work in, and have a settled period, because I feel the last couple of months it's only been 3-4 weeks in one place before I've moved on, so it's good stretch here.
Yeah. So you get that do the session plan. Even say if you are a bit bored, at least you're and it's a good thing to be able to have a snooze or recover or eat or something without the distraction of travel and weather disruptions that you might get back home, which I guess at this time of year we're getting some nice weather, but equally you could get some days where you'd be stuck in or having to make last minute plans, and which is obviously pretty disruptive for your build up. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love where I'm based in Summer in Wanaka, and that's still one of my favorite places to train, and I do miss it there, and I kind of wish it could be 30 degrees there right now. But it's just reality is not, and I think it's different. I think it is a lot harder for New Zealand and Australia athletes. I mean, Australia gets obviously warmer than New Zealand, but if you're based in Europe, you kind of going to flick home, and you could do just a training camp for 6 weeks, and then if you weren't quite like in the hottest place, you can kind of break up that. But I think for us athletes, kind of have to commit to going away from New Zealand that whole time, just to get those like more ideal training conditions.
Yeah, we're finding that even people that we're working with now, or friends that are going through, training for Kona, in particular this year, that have trying to heat prep in New Zealand. Obviously, age group is sort of training around work. It's a different thing, but it is difficult. You hear all sorts of interesting stories of hoodies and boiler suits on indoor trainers, and I guess it all does something, but there'd be nothing better than actually being, like you say, waking up every day in hot and humid conditions, or at least close to, and then you're doing part of that, ticking part of those boxes there before you've even started, really.
Yeah, I mean, I I want to give like some big medals out to some the age groupers,
Oh,
grinding away through the whole winter.
yeah,
I mean, I have done that in the past, but I think,
it's hard. Yeah,
mentally hard, and places that are 0 degrees in the morning, and they're getting up, and
yeah, yeah.
I think it's and then juggling full-time jobs and maybe families around that. I think that's pretty amazing.
I think it's pretty cool. That's what I think. That's what draws a lot of people, and why we love the sport as well. And I think a lot of people do is that one, we're all doing the same event. So if you line up in Taupo in March next year, you guys are there doing your thing, and then the age grouper from the 9-hour to 17-hour age grouper is there, and everyone's got a certain level of hardship. So it's that suffered problem halved, problem shared kind of thing. Everyone suffered at a different level, and I don't think it's there's not many other sports in the world that are like that, where you can literally line up with the pros and you're equally going. You both have a mutual respect for each other, which is pretty neat. Because normally that elitism sort of thing in other sports is just just unimaginable or unachievable to be on the same start line and sharing that same journey, albeit at different paces in different parts of the world. But it's an incredible thing, really. Do you mind just looking back at the sessions you've just done? So I'm keen to see what your last session was and what's next for you. Once what your last training session was, and where do you go to you training again today? I'm assuming.
Yeah, so I just did a swim, 5K swim this morning. I did a bit of a pyramid set, so I was which is just 100, 200, 200, 300, 400, and then back through 400, 300, 200, 100 at like kind of variable paces.
Yep.
Total 5K. So I've got a 50-meter outdoor pool.
Wow.
Working on the tan lines.
Yeah, I'm jealous now. Yeah.
5 minutes drive away. So
cool. Yeah.
That's great. And then next up I've got like an aerobic ride for a couple of hours. I did a pretty big day yesterday. I think it was 6 hour total.
Wow.
Across a 4 hour bike and hour 15 run and another kind of recovery 50-minute swim. So
wow.
Today's a little bit less. Then I also have another 80-minute run to do later on today. So
right. So at least for you, still you still have a substantial day. So it's not it's not exactly like you're sitting down doing nothing, watching Netflix all afternoon. There's still a fair bit of work being done. So.
Yeah, I think another longer, up to about 5 hour bike tomorrow. So cool. It's going to be a pretty big week this week, maybe about 32 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is kind of at my upper that I go to. So
yeah.
That's what when you're doing Ironman and Kona, you need that
For
volume
sure.
of training going in. So it's lots of I think might maybe take a nap before the next between the bike and the run.
Don't blame you.
I think just to be able to get through the volume of training, you need as much recovery as possible as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of another. Well, they talk about nutrition being the fourth discipline, but recovery is probably the fifth one. Or probably they don't necessarily have a batting order, do they? They're all important.
Yeah.
Can we? Do you mind if we go backwards, right back to the beginning for triathlon? Like, how did you come about it? I mean, obviously part of the research for the podcast, trying to go back through all your different results and data, and it's quite a sort of fascinating story. And I'd love to sort of hear a bit more about when you got into it, how you got into it, and what it's looked like from there, if you can.
Yeah, so the first time I started to get into it was 22. I just finished my uni degree at Otago, and I was back in Auckland, and I'd been I'd been a swimmer throughout school, from like 7 years old. I was doing some competitions and kind of up until 18 I was competitive swimming at like a national level, a few competitions in Australia.
Wow.
But I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue swimming, and decided to kind of focus on uni studies instead. But I think I always kind of missed throughout like most of my life I'd been at a really high level of fitness, which allowed me, like, just being a swimmer, I could still do well at some other events. Like I did a few running races, cross country and cycling, and I think that swimming just gives you so much aerobic and like base fitness. so once I was at uni and I wasn't doing as much, I think I started to crave some more, doing some more fitness and exercises.
Yep.
And so, I thought, I did like a marathon, I think, in my last year of uni. And so I started to get back into some more, endurance training. And then decided to do, I was like, I just want to do like one Olympic distance. I've never done one. So I lined up at now it's the People's Tri Series. Was the Panasonic one then, I think, in Mission Bay. And my dad was like, oh, I'll do it as well with you. So
awesome.
I remember then, like, while I was quite used to swimming distances, like, I was 6-7K swim sessions wouldn't faze me. But the thought of like a 40K bike seemed really far. I think I did, like, I borrowed my sister's bike, and I remember going out, like, a friend took me out for a 50K bike ride, and I thought, this is so far. I rode out to like Clevedon, needed a coffee, and then rode back from there, which it's quite crazy thinking about now. Whereas like 50K is a short ride for me now.
Recovery now, yeah.
This is a recovery spin. But then lined up for that Olympic distance. Found the 40K bike really hard. And then it was like, I enjoyed this. I mean, I think I ran the 10K in like 47 minutes, so
wow,
pretty fast, but without too much training. And I think I biked like an hour 18 or something for the 40K, and that was a flat course. And then decided to then line up, I think, the next year at like the Nationals Champs in Wellington. And that was about my third Olympic distance. And then from that, it was when I qualified for the Beijing like World Age Group Champs.
Wow. Okay.
In 2011.
So you're obviously focusing a bit on training before that. You'd done the first one and then thought, right, I'm training for this as opposed to just going to wing it, sort of, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think I was winging it up until just after that, and I thought, I'll get a coach. So I was with a coach, Stephen Farrell, and travelled over to Beijing, and kind of no expectations, but I'd done actually some structured training ahead of that. And I thought, just turn up and kind of see, and I ended up winning my age group, which was like, I was in a state of shock at that time. I was just waiting for people to come past me on the bike, and I think one girl did, but she was in another age group, and I just led from start to finish, which was pretty cool. And then after that, I was like, okay, maybe if I put even more focus, I could like move on to the next level. And so by the next year, I was racing some of the local elite races. With like the Wanaka race and Kinloch and things like that. So it was crazy because I'd just been kind of, watching like Andrew Hewitt in the elite race, and then a few months at Beijing, I think she did quite well in that race. And then a few months later, I was lining up racing side by side with her, swimming in the race like next to her. So and it was definitely a step up. And but I just seemed to kind of keep improving, and gone on to racing the World Cups and the World Series. I think my best finish was the 17th at Edmonton World Series. In about
that's not easy to do.
So over those 3 years, it was quite a rapid kind of from where I was like increase. And I did that until 2016, and then had a few injuries. I'd had a bike crash and had a stress fracture, a stress reaction in my foot, which I needed to be in the moon boot for. That was kind of ahead of the last kind of races of going on for the 2016 Olympics. So that was the goal for that. And but it felt didn't make the team on that. It was I think I was pretty, I don't know, I wasn't in my best shape then with the injuries and things. So it was still disappointing as to fall short of a goal. And I decided it was great, like racing on the World Series and everything like that. It was amazing, but at the time I wasn't enjoying it as much as I should have been, just with
Yeah.
that side when you have those setbacks.
Yeah.
And yeah, like financially at the time it was also quite hard.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't kind of fully supported. So like I had, you know, a few sponsors behind me, but the World Series, as you see now, it's sometimes you're doing a lot of those races, but you're not making any money from them.
No, you can. Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? They deserve it, but it's just not getting it. Yeah.
So yeah, I decided to kind of leave the short course triathlon. I was kind of leaving triathlon. I was just, I think, my body and mentally needed a bit of a break. So I went back into full-time work. Not really thinking I would be back into pro sport again. And then decided, I'll just do one Olympic. I'll do one half Ironman.
Were you still training though? Like, I'm guessing you weren't just eating junk food sitting on the couch. I'm guessing you were still training, or
I wasn't doing any structured training for a good 4 or 5 months. I mean, I was always kind of doing something, but not, I was probably just doing, I don't know, 6-7 hours a week of training, like not much, like doing some mountain biking and runs with friends and the odd swim. I don't think I swam much actually through that period. I was like, I need a break from the pool.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah,
fair enough. My whole life, so
you could be excused for that one.
Yeah, but decided to do the Taupo half Ironman at the end of 2016.
Yep.
And got fourth there. Fought 90k again, was a long way.
Yeah.
Pretty tired at 70k and sore. So
wow.
Yeah, but then I thought I'll do just kind of some of the local New Zealand races. That was, I think, start of 2017 was my first Tauranga half Ironman.
Yep.
And I think I finished about 6th or 7th there.
Yep.
But it was still, I had a full-time job at the time, and I started then I started getting, was like, again, okay, I need a bit more help with this half Ironman training. And so I started with Rob Dallymore, who's got terrific coaching. He's and my coach still, so that's about
awesome
6 years. So we know each other pretty well.
For sure.
And it's been a great partnership. And then I focused on doing a few kind of Australian, New Zealand races. But it just, when it is your full-time job, I think there is more pressure on it. So I think having some working as well, it kind of took off the pressure to really have to find sponsorship and really earn the prize money. So I did that for a good couple of years. I think it was kind of end of 2018 I started to get some more like podiums at the like Western Sydney, and and I was podium at Tauranga half, and kind of decided to be I'm going to go into the part-time work. Worked at Sports Lab, which is a physio clinic in Auckland, and they were pretty good with me allowing these trips to Australia, and and then further overseas. I think I did a couple of races in 2019 overseas. And then COVID. COVID hit at the start. Which kind of put a damper on the plans, but looking back, it gave me a really good block of just training without any racing. And I think I think when something's taken away, like, I think for a lot of us, it's like, if you had maybe some people were like, oh, like, I don't really like miss racing with that not happening in COVID. But for me, and maybe a lot of us, I was like, oh, I miss racing so much. Like, I love having that kind of goal and the excitement of the race, and everything to look forward to. So it was just like hard kind of mental period. I mean, like, physically training was a bit different. You couldn't, I did a lot more trainer sessions. A lot of us were swifting and everything like that. So so then it was obviously we still had some races on in New Zealand, which was great. But definitely was making you excited to go for some overseas racing.
Get right back into it again. Because the world seemed to open up at the other end far quicker than we did. We were so a lot of the athletes overseas were probably would have been ahead of the game compared to what you guys were doing, I guess, because they were already racing and competing, whereas we were still on level 3s or 4s or goodness knows what we're on. It's a blur now, isn't it? It was all weird for a while. So
so I think I gave a full
yeah.
Most takes what I would describe 10 years of triathlon into
Oh no, it's
5 to
amazing.
10 minutes,
yeah, I mean, it sort of answers a few questions because it's I mean, that sort of stuff's obviously hard to find unless you I'm sort of looking at people's Wikipedia page and researching for these things, but you can get all kinds of sort of information that is quite often wrong, so it's easier just to try and find out. But the when you're talking about the swim background in particular, that's obviously fascinating, and obviously you're one of the top sort of 3 probably long course female swimmers in the world, and that is incredible to watch for that. Does that change the pressure of what that race looks like? I mean, for most, I guess for just about all of us, myself included, but even a lot of the pros, if if swimming isn't their strong point, or they're unsure whether they're in the top 10 or can they get on the 12th person's feet or whatever it may be, does that change your race nerves, knowing you're going to, I mean, it's obviously, barring incident, it's a given that you're going to come out in good nick out of the water. So does that allow you to relax into the race a bit more and just formulate a different plan than what you would if that wasn't such a weapon within your arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, I think the race nerves are still always there. But I feel like I can stay, quite relaxed. I do say, like, I'm not going to, I know that I'm not going to come last out of the water in most swims. I'm going to be, even when there's some of the best swimmers, at Kona and at the PTO races, I'm coming out in the, third, in the top 3. So it does, does give you confidence going in. Even if I, maybe have a less of, like, not my best swim, I'm still going to be near that
still
front.
So
it does take that worry about, you're still sometimes like, oh, maybe today I'll have a really bad swim, but I think as the races go on, I think, I'm confident in that, and know that, I can kind of, see the, well, depending who's in the race, it gives you, some more kind of options that, I'm going to be like, maybe, the US Open, it's like, well, I know how incredible, and you saw the 70.3 world champs that Taylor's dropping everyone on the bike. So we've got those other decisions that, okay, it's probably not ideal if I go with her, but I know that this person, I'm confident I can ride with. So
definitely. It would take a bit of planning, I think, because whereas for most people for a 70.3 or an Ironman, it is a pacing exercise, and we're not, although you might be thinking about potentially following people that are, we're not making those decisions that you guys are obviously making from a racing point of view, which is quite fascinating. So I mean, you can either, I guess you've got different options, haven't you? You come out of the water and, like you say, just absolutely pin it and see what happens, or you just think, well, I've saved a little bit of energy in the water, so I can now make a smart decision and race, with that strength sort of up your sleeve, which is it's pretty cool to watch. It's I mean, that's why I don't think a lot of Kiwis get, you guys definitely don't get the credit that you deserve, and to watch that, if the One News sort of sports reporters were watching and realizing how difficult that probably is to stay on or not stay on, that's a discredit to you, but to stay with or take turns with Lucy or Taylor, is probably needs to be headline news more than just a worry about the All Blacks, but I know you're biased. So we understand it. I think every triathlete out there from whatever level sees it, and it's absolutely fascinating. So do you mind telling us, obviously Kona last year, we sort of talked a little bit off air with that, but I'd love to hear how that went for you. You said you'd spectated previously, and then you obviously went there. They'd separated the two days. The ladies had one day, the guys had the second. Do you mind just talking through your experience there? We obviously saw the footage was incredible. I think the separation didn't do any harm. I think it meant that there's a lot of politics about it, but I think it was incredible to watch the women's race and the men's race on different occasions. I think it's fantastic from a spectator point of view, but I'd love to hear what it was like from your side.
Yeah, it was, the whole kind of week leading up to the race was great. I think without having, because Kona hadn't been on for 2 years, there was even more like increased kind of media attention on it. and even though we don't always get so much in the mainstream, I think I did the most interviews. Like I had
Oh, cool. Yeah.
pre-race with a couple of news outlets, and
that's good.
A couple of had we had like a pre kind of New Zealand Australia team thing, and it was a good buzz going in, and I think I did really enjoy having the female only day. It kind of just meant, I don't know, just everything seemed kind of geared towards us for that day. You didn't have to worry about kind of any interference by guys, because sometimes you do like catch up to a pro guy, or they're out there, or age group is a really fast male age group might come through on the bike, so you kind of just knew it was a very fair race in that sense. And it was cool to be part of that. That was the first time they had the women only, so
it's amazing.
I did enjoy then watching the men.
True.
Two days afterwards, so I will miss watching them this year. I'll be watching the on the screen. Although I do remember it was after having run up Palani Hill 2 days ago, and I was trying to watch and walk up that Palani Hill with very sore feet and legs.
Oh, I bet. Because your race sort of unfolded, obviously with we sort of almost play it down like an obviously an incredible swim, and then your bike was looked pretty solid from the stats as well, and then obviously you got a time penalty, is that right? So did that obviously changed the dynamic. How do you keep your head in the game for that? That must have been a challenge.
So going, I was over the moon with where I was in the swim, just set up in a beautiful pack. Lucy is still just that little bit faster, and so she was away, but I was in a good pack with Lauren Brandon and a couple of others, and I had a few things not go quite right at the start of the bike. I knew it was kind of a bumpy bit when you do this kind of dog leg before you go to the Queen K. And now I do regret not having kind of a rubber band over my bottle, which I knew if I know the course has some bumps on it, I do put on now. So I lost a bottle pretty early on, which is not ideal in Kona, because that was my main kind of electrolyte source. So I had my fuel bottle, gels, and some carb mix. But I don't think it was nearly 25k. Not too far, but it felt like then a long way to the first aid station. So at the time, like Fenella Langridge she's pushing the pace a bit. Kind of let her go because I just knew I needed to not overbike in that first bit. Still a long way, and I had Lauren Brandon, so we kind of worked together, and as you say, with the strong swimmers, like, well, I remember going actually up one of the roads, and Jan Fredina was on the side of the road cheering, and I was just like, this is awesome, like fourth at the world champs, and going along this race I've watched, and I'm near the front, and so I was quite surprised how kind of long we did keep away. I think it was up to nearly 40k before I think the motorbikes gave me some time splits, and knew that a pack was coming, and I thought, soon it'll be probably Daniela Reef like charging past.
In the motor.
But it was a few of the other girls, so it became like a group of 6. Just as we were going, I remember going past Waikoloa like village, and I think it wasn't too far after that it gets quite like undulating, and I did find it quite hard because you do kind of stretch out on the descents, and then some of those short hills you do have to do that. So a few times I actually constantly had to back up, like make sure, and I felt like I was trying to be very conscious of my still it's not like us pros have that's exactly 12 meters, you're using the dashes on the road. It's like your judgment of that. If side topic like this way with the race ranger lights, it just takes away that. But
that's amazing. And
then I felt like I was right at the back, so I was probably getting the most kind of like surgy of that group.
Yep.
And then I was just going along and got shown like a blue card from the motorbike, and I was surprised. I was like, I'm literally been trying to keep this distance. But yeah, they did. I mean, they penalised a lot. I think about nearly 12 girls got penalties from that race.
Yeah, they got a bit carried away by the looks of it. Yeah.
Yeah, 25% of the field. So
yeah.
I obviously in my first four I was a bit angry and upset, but I think I was like, oh, this is I've never had one before. The day to do it is not the world champ. So but I tried to just kind of keep myself calm and just like I didn't have to take it right away. The next one was not till the turnaround, so I was kind of at one stage I was like, maybe I'll just go really hard, go past this group and get some time. But then I thought that's probably not sensible in this heat. So
burn some calories here.
Yeah, I ended up unfortunately then going up. There's climbs a bit to Harvey, and I got actually dropped off that group. I think one of the girls, Lisa Norden, she had a penalty, and I think she did the bit of I'm going to push this pace a little bit to get ahead. So I dropped off then, and so went into the penalty tent at Harvey. Luckily, the aid station was just before, so I was able to pick up some more nutrition. And
brilliant! Yeah,
you are allowed to like have that while you're in the tent.
Okay, turn into a positive.
Yeah, but it did feel like a very long 5 minutes.
I bet it.
And it kind of I think like it's more than 5 minutes because you've just kind of lost that momentum, and then 5 minutes, but then you spend time clicking your pedal back in and bringing yourself up to speed. And so I found the coming back from that. I had a few girls pass me, but just couldn't seem to find the rhythm to kind of step up. I did notice my power had like dropped a little bit with the heat and everything like that. But I told myself I'm still like I did get passed by quite a few girls while standing in the penalty tent. So it's hard to know exactly where you were in the field and things like that. But I just kept on being like, well, make sure you're fueling and hydrating and get ready for like trying to have the best run you can. So it was a bit of a like the last 30 to 40k stretch of that. I think there was a bit of headwind and things. At one point, like my feet were like really hot. They had just probably expanded, and they were almost like.
I remember reading in your post. Yeah, I thought it's obviously something. It's getting hot if you're noticing individual parts of you that are getting hot. It's a sign.
Yeah, I think you just like feet had like they were just getting. I just felt like I wanted to put cold water on my feet or something.
So,
I managed to come into. I think I came into transition. Yeah, I dropped quite a few places to about 23rd, 24th. And then going out into the run, you know it's going to be hard and hot.
Yeah.
There's no shade on that course, but it was good in fact that I could see like my coach Rob again, and there's spectators. Whereas there's not many spectators out on the bike course. So it was get that buzz, and then and then but then you kind of go away from town and it gets very quiet a bit more out in the Queen K.
Right. Yeah.
But it's definitely about managing aid stations and going to the famous energy lab and
getting water from Jan Frodeno on the one of the aid stations. It's got to be a bit of a thing too, doesn't it? So cups, that's something you don't do every day. So. It's amazing. I mean, for people listening, that's there's such a cool story within that story. Like to you could, I guess, take a 5-minute penalty and completely. You got a couple of options, I guess. When you either completely lose your mojo and rant and rave, or you do what you did and think, well, this sucks, but I'll take some nutrition and I'll just try and refocus. Which it can't be an easy thing to do, but it obviously says a huge amount of character to you as a person. But equally, the story in there for people, any of us, is to think, well, I think in an Ironman or a half Ironman, you're going to get some adversity somewhere. It's just a case of, factoring it in, isn't it? Not letting it fluster you, so you can actually still stay in control of it rather than let it overwhelm you.
It's a lot. Yeah, I think I tell myself like, a lot of times it's a long day, and anything can happen. And if you have that like chemical or whatever, like I mean, if 5-10 minutes, like when you're doing a 9-hour event, it's actually only it's not a massive apart. like a
percentage of
massive
the day,
amount
is
of
it?
time. It does
Yeah,
feel the
yeah,
time, but
yeah,
yeah, there's still like time. You just got to have like the patience. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's said there's a mantra I sort of had on my actually had on a label maker last year for Te Apo Ironman was, and it's like, what can I be doing to make my day better right now? You know, and it's whether I need to be more aero, or have I taken a gel or something? It's just trying to remind yourself of that rather than get flustered on the worrying about how things feel. That's going to be ugly. It's just what can I do right now to make me a little bit better? And whether it's, yeah, like I say, zipping up something or holding your neck in the right position so you're a bit more aero or something. Just to, it gives you something to do too, because it's like you say, 180k is you got a long time to think. No iPod, no nothing. So you're in there for a while. Is there a bit of talking? I don't mind sort of digressing a little bit, but in those groups when you guys are going out there like that, and excuse me, so is there communication between you guys and for the men's and women's fields? Are you talking amongst your athletes that are out there, or is it all pretty much just head down, or are people like as it is in a road race where it's like, right, let's push here, let's, is there much of that sort of stuff going on?
Yeah, it kind of depends. It's kind of ranged in different races. I think in Kona, like there wasn't much chatter.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe there was like, I don't know, hand single for someone to come through, but there wasn't too much chat between. I think everyone's kind of
I guess you'll know the same thing, don't you? Like it's the bones are the same, aren't they? So it's just it's not like you're all first timers. You'll know what job needs to be done. So it probably goes without saying, I suppose. But
I think some like Ironman, like Frankfurt this year, I was up working with Lauren, and sometimes you have a bit of a chat, like, like I don't think we were getting much splits, and then someone gave me a split, so then I also, like, because you're competing against, but you're kind of working together. So I relayed that information, and if you're working with someone, the two of you might just when you take a turn, it's like good job or something. I don't know. I just feel like it almost gives me a little bit of boost, like just kind of
you're in it together
as well. And I know of like Hannah at Ironman New Zealand, like it's like, okay, well, if we work together, we were going to like maybe stay away from Alice Weiser, who you did end up catching us, but a couple of times we might have had a chat about time splits and just a bit of motivation, because you're going to each other, but you're also going through the same thing, and it's
it's funny. I think one of the I'm not sure if it was a PTO Singapore or maybe it might have been Ibiza early in the year. They talked about the coverage. I'd have to look it up. One of the commentators saying that the athletes will be working together and communicating within the swim. And I'm thinking, man, like I can't imagine you guys are head out of the water having a chat. Oh, you take a pull here, and I'll just jump on your feet. It's like it's not. They might be taking turns if they can, but it's not like we're holding up whiteboards and having communication amongst yourselves in the water or anything. So a little bit off the mark, but
I think the PTO Singapore is like Josh Amber was kind of waving on someone when he came out to lead like the second swim, but it's hard to like. I know sometimes in swims I've kind of wanted, wish you could communicate to someone to kind of to move over. Like when people are like right next to each other, because you're kind of slowing each other down. So sometimes it's just, I think I had that like a little bit in Kona, but then like if someone's going to fight around, then maybe dropping to the feet, which is hard to communicate, but maybe you can
do it without saying it.
Tap them on the feet or something like that. And
you did right. So many different ways of doing it, but just keen to see what the build up looks like now. Like, what does the next few weeks go for you? Is the key sessions you tick off, or the how does it go? We're October 14th, so we're sort of 5 weeks out. 6.5 weeks away, I guess. Depending what calendar you look like. So just sort of see what does it look like for you now, leading into Kona?
Looking at say it's about 6 weeks. So you kind of have a longer taper going into a big race like that. So it's almost like less than like 5 weeks. So it's about getting a good volume done ahead of Kona. I'm racing like Sunshine Coast, but Kona is like the goal. This is just kind of one last kind of hit out, almost like a really hard training session. And and making sure everything kind of is dialed in. So I won't do like a big taper to that, because when I want to don't want to kind of having the peak for Kona. So still, as I say, pretty big week. A little bit just not much of a tape into Sunshine Coast, and then it'll be another kind of a few days recovery from that, and then a good kind of last 2.5 to 3 weeks of solid training before tapering into Kona. Some of the like key sessions would be some of those longer bikes and longer runs. Like doing some Ironman intensity intervals, kind of longer intervals. Because you are out there nearly 5 hours, so doing some work a bit above Ironman pace, but quite a lot at Ironman pace. And a few like longer kind of runs off the bike. Just to you are like, I never go and run the full distance or anything like that in training, but doing some like prior to Kona last year, like I got up to, I don't know, kind of max long run was 30k.
Wow.
But having quite a lot of that at like Ironman intensity, It's your a lot body, how that feel, and it's almost it's not so much about also doing kind of 1 or 2 good sessions. It's kind of that going into some of those workouts, you feel pretty fatigued, and so it almost feels like if I can get through this training session, then it's it's really tough when you've done like a big day before and you're still backing up with another day under fatigue and running that couple of hours on pretty tired legs. So sometimes you feel like you're not, like some of your sessions you're just so tired for, but it's helping you that kind of the strength for race day.
So there's no real secrets to what you're doing for the next sort of 4 to 5 weeks. It's just ticking off what would be, I guess probably most people a fairly standard kind of program. You're just doing it, obviously the volume is high because you're doing it full time, but there's no sort of Norwegian secrets creeping in. You just putting the work in and just backing it up with more and good rest and recoveries. That seems to be the theme.
I mean for some people, like time wise, they might get that long ride, like one long ride in, but I've got the time to do like 3 long rides throughout a 1 week period, so just kind of adds
add that element to it
and things, and obviously still doing quite a bit of swimming, so I want to be swimming obviously really well in Kona, but I know I am swimming well, so I feel like, I mean, the majority focuses on the good bike and run sessions. I still feel like I need, I sometimes have a good, like, the last like 40k of the bike is still, sometimes I drop off a little bit. So, kind of working on,
backing stuff,
finishing some of those rides and pushing quite hard towards the end of a ride when you are a bit fatigued. So putting that into practice over the next couple of weeks.
Well, do you are you talking about the Norwegian stuff? Obviously they're made famous with a bit of the lab work, which is there was sort of jokes last year at Kona that there wasn't much litter on the road. There was just lactate strips from everyone's blood lactate tests. Is a bit of a mocking them there. But do you get in the lab with that sort of stuff very much, or you sort of, is there a science based program to what you do? Are you taking lactate all the time? Are you doing in the lab doing assessments and tests and things, or you pretty much just get stuck in and monitor your own symptoms, I suppose, or your own level with fatigue?
I know there's so many, I feel like there's so much data and so much devices out there.
Oh, I know.
People wearing Oura rings and Whoop and all these things, and I just feel like, I don't know, sometimes it's overbogged with too much data, and I feel like I don't always need something, like I think I'm always been I think with swimming you learn like your
Yep.
pacing and
Yep. You feel, yeah.
and I feel like I know my body quite well, and I know like I can say to Rob like I think I pushed this a little bit too hard, and I need to
Yep.
rest more and
Yep.
pull it back, rather than like a device saying like you
Yeah. Yeah.
you need to rest, like you shouldn't train like that well,
Yeah.
you know, today. But
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like I know when I can like push and when I can't.
Yep.
So I kind of, you know, I'm more look at, you know, I'm not looking at like obviously my power and sometimes and my heart rate
Yep.
through sessions, but and I've done a few lab. I did one kind of looking at how much kind of carbs to fat I was burning and
Okay. Yep.
things, and yeah, I did your kind of VO2 like bike test.
Yep.
And I mean, and I have done some lactate in the past, but yeah, it's kind of
Yep.
you kind of need, I don't know, to have my coach with me all the time and being overseas.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And I think you kind of need somebody helping you. I've heard like if you're doing it on yourself, it's not probably quite as reliable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be good, I think, when I'm back in New Zealand to do a little bit more again. But
Yep.
yeah, I think it's even just knowing kind of doing those tests and then knowing where your kind of like paces are.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You're
maybe like, yeah, I don't feel like I need to do it every couple of weeks, but
yeah.
Kind of, you know, before and after season, then it kind of gives you a gauge to work off.
Yep. No, I love that. I mean, we the coaching side of things we do use data, and then there's equally people that don't, and I think it's fascinating from our angle, like someone like yourself at your level that surrounded by, I guess there'd be a lot of pros that are pretty high profile on social media that are all about the data, and I think half of them are just I think they do it because it's the right thing to do or be seen doing in some ways, but there's also others like yourself that are equally as good, if not better than some of them, and they're and not worrying about the data to that degree. I mean, obviously, you know, like you're saying, you're still aware of power and heart rate, but not becoming obsessed by what Garmin tells you in the morning, or your Whoop saying you're detraining or something. It can be quite demoralizing. So
yeah. I mean, I think it's good for training, but it's not
yeah.
like in a race you don't have access. You're not going like, oh, like, yeah, you've done, know maybe what your lactate is a certain power.
Yeah.
But then in a race, you can't always stick to that same power, and
right.
And you wouldn't know. You probably wouldn't know if you're at 4.7 millimole or whatever when you're long. So maybe the ability to check that afterwards. But not during the time.
Yeah, it's probably a different level, I guess. Hey, you guys are racing. The race is the race, and it's you're making decisions like you mentioned before at Kona. You're making decisions on what the race is as opposed to what the data is. So it's pretty cool to sort of see that, and obviously that swimming background gives you that. You can't get any access to any data when you're in the pool, can you? So you've had years and years and years of how does this feel? You know, you're probably pretty attuned to those things, I'd imagine. So
yeah.
What's in those sessions? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What like favorite and least favorite sessions? What do you like doing, and what one do you go, oh, geez, Rob, thanks, or again, I don't want that one in Training Peaks. You know, what do you like doing and what do you hate? Is there some you may not?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've done so many times in the pool. Sometimes it is hard to feel really motivated for that. But I do enjoy like open water swims. I love like when I'm in New Zealand, like swimming in Lake Wanaka. So starting in the morning, like a lake swim. That's probably one of my favorites. Favorites to do, and probably least favorite is I don't know, probably doing some really high like bike intervals. Kind of your like short, kind of higher power ones.
Ugly, eh? Yeah.
It feels good when it like when you've got through it and done it, but I think it's one I might like procrastinate a little bit on.
Well, it's good to know you guys do it at your level too. We certainly do it at our level.
Yeah. Do that,
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny. Like the talking about Zwifting, it's those those sort of VO2 sessions on Zwift can be a lot of people we talk to. It's just need the extra cup of coffee, or like say procrastinate for another 45 minutes. So I don't quite feel warmed up yet. I'll jump on later, kind of thing. It seems to be quite a common theme. So So what are you working on now then? Sorry, no.
I feel also like it's what you do is run off a bike, but when you're doing a long bike ride and you have like a run off a bike is coming. Again, it's like something I think it's one you dial in quite a bit to be like, this is what I need to do, for the race. It's an important one, but I don't know. It's one sometimes you do feel like nervous for.
Yeah, you could be doing other things. Yeah. So what are you working on, if you don't mind me asking? Like obviously your strength is a weapon. Sorry, your swim's a strength, and you're obviously not weak at the other two by all means. But I mean, is there something you're specifically working on that you've got a 12, 24 month goal that you're trying to nail to make faster? Is there something for you?
I feel, well, still my like weakest of the three would be my run.
Okay.
Comparing to my time, so that's still like a heavy focus on that.
Yep.
So yeah, I still feel like there's a lot of gains in my bike to go. Like I haven't,
Right.
you say I don't have access to some of the stuff that some of the top pros do in wind tunnels and the aerodynamics. So I still feel like I can make some progress and on my bike there, and still think I need to kind of like I'm at a level where I can ride with some of these girls, but I think I still need to work on how I can get even fast, like stronger and faster on that. I think like it's this year has been a big kind of busy race calendar. I think maybe for next year I would maybe race a few less races just so I can have a bit more time to put those training blocks in, because I feel like there's times when I probably haven't with the amount of racing be able to do a fully long block like I am now, but that's first one in in several months. So and like next year a big like I want to do like Ironman, the World Champs in Nice. But I'm also really excited after I kind of just had a lot of FOMO watching the Finland World Champs, and looked like quite a cool course. And you always kind of wonder when you watch that, where would I come? So I'm looking forward to Tokyo next year. I think having kind of centering my year where, because it's so late in the year, like, and if that's one season, you kind of need to plan. Otherwise, you don't want to end up at the year really cooked. So it might be a little bit less racing to know that. I can kind of
be more specific on the training
of next year as well.
And going the other way, because it's the natural progression is to do the like say some 70.3s building into something like Kona, but that's going to be backwards if you end up doing Nice and then stepping backwards in distance for Taupo. So that takes some planning.
It does. It's it's hard. I mean, it was a bit hard because finding out sometimes a little bit late on when I was into some races this year. And so next year maybe it's I think you're going to find out earlier with the PTO and everything what's going on. So that will help like planning purposes, where I feel like this year to be a little bit last minute, which adds a bit of stress and everything of knowing exactly where you're going to be.
Sure it does. Sure it does. Yeah. It seems to be an incredible show. I mean, I don't mind, mindful of your time here. I don't want to take up your entire day. You've got sessions to do, but what the PTO is doing, it does seem an incredible thing. I mean, does it, from the athlete point of view, behind the scenes, that sort of stuff, is it, do you mind just for a couple of minutes telling us how that sort of works? I'm fascinated to see. It just looks like such a big traveling road show, almost like a Super League short course sort of scenario. And is it everything we sort of see it is when you guys turn up there? It's you're well looked after, and obviously the hype and everything's there. What does it feel like from your end?
Yeah, they are. I feel like they are. Yeah, they're really looking looking after the athletes. Certainly, more so than that I have experienced at some other races. I mean, a lot of the race organizations still, provide like certain things, but I think it really helps to bring the athletes like together, because they are trying to make it that, and maybe sometimes it wasn't completely logistical, but kind of having everyone at maybe like a central location, same hotel, which kind of makes things a bit easier, because you might do some pre-race photos. So it's great when I don't have like a media person with me. I mean, a lot of professional athletes have full-time photographers or videographers there, but so it's great that they kind of provide lots of like photos for you. They've got an app where you can get the photos uploaded,
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And so that they come, in pretty quickly post race, and sometimes pre-race you get a couple as well. And things like they usually provide a massage therapist there, so you can get a massage before the race. And bike mechanics, which is a big thing because I don't trust myself 100% on all bike things. So having them right there, like, in the same hotel to take your bike to.
Wow.
And then, like things, it's great with like, all of the races this year had Race Ranger. So, that's another, and they kind of are there at the race. You just bring your bike into them and
cool.
It's kind of a seamless process, but and then they might it's quite social with all the other athletes as well. Depending on the event. I mean, I think there's still like costs. It's not all looked after. The accommodation is still paid by us. Maybe there is a little bit of a subsidy there, but it's I think it's something they want to kind of have like some of the. Well, I know Super League. I think some of their obviously travel and things is paid for, so I think it's where PTO want to go in the future. But I think it's still you still feel like well supported and part of it, and the whole team there are really passionate. You know some of the staff of the PTO, and they are all kind of they really want to make this work and make it viable and things. And I think they're bringing quite a lot of entertainment just with their pre-race videos and everything. And
it's amazing. I think, and for someone like yourself, like you say, that doesn't have the luxury of having a social media manager traveling with them. I mean, to have those sort of, even just those little things like some decent professional photos that you can obviously pass to your sponsors, who then get a better value. So it starts increasing profile and return, and creating opportunities, I guess, doesn't it? Which you may not have unless you just happen to have a family member or someone that shared them with you. So that's that's really cool. And from our point of view, like I say, the stuff behind the scenes that you guys obviously are generous with your time, and they're also having the athletes in the different areas. It seems to be pretty neat to see people going off training together, or there's a video of someone training with someone else and a bit of banter amongst the athletes, which you just don't see at other events, which is pretty cool. So
I think just those little ththings they've set up that we're going a certain time for us to go around the swim course, and or they're like, okay, because there's all those things in a new city. It's like I think it all looks amazing, but I think in Singapore, it's not the easiest place to bike around or get around. But if someone can provide you a van, they drive to the swimming pool, which you've got the swimming pool to use, and it's like free and no lanes. Like it's easier than drive. It's just cycle around city and lock your bike up, and which
not quite as glamorous as it looks.
Places, so all that stuff is is helps kind of ease the stress before a race.
I bet it does. It's an incredible show, and it's it's cool to sort of see. I love what they're doing for the sport, and I don't think like I mentioned, it's not a taken away from everything else. There's a place for all the other races, and it's just if they're all stepping up, then the PTO does this, then Ironman will follow suit, and vice versa. They all sort of have to, otherwise it they get left behind. So it's got to be a good thing in the long term. So, and next year looks pretty amazing with the numbers they're talking about in different events. So from a spectator, it's amazing. I just and obviously from the pros, it must be pretty cool too. So we all looking forward to that. I'm just wondering if you don't mind if we go through a few. I'm sort of taking up more of your time than I wanted to, but if I could just bounce through some rapid fire sort of questions, or actually just to sort of get them a bit behind the scenes, put you on the spot. I haven't pre-read these to you, so we'll see what comes up. It's always a bit of humour. If we were first one off there, what advice, if you're talking about triathlon training, that would you give your younger self? Like, what would you tell you the beginner triathlete in you now?
Oh yeah, that's kind of.
I can pause it.
Telling my younger self, just have that the belief, like I think it does take a lot of the sport of, like, it's not just a quick you don't I think even when someone comes out like Taylor Niven and is super fast, it's like she's probably done quite years and years of
Yeah.
training before that. So yeah, just kind of have the patience, and because there's not, you might be at a certain level and you look and you're like, I can't get to that level, but just kind of believe that if you just keep working, have that consistency, you can get there.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great advice. So thanks for everyone in it. That's that's cool. Second one I had down. What Netflix series are you watching at the moment, or do you have access to that where you are? I'm sure you do. You're not in the boonies, but what's your guilty binging sort of Netflix series?
Signed up. At the moment I've gone through New Amsterdam.
Okay.
Kind of like a Grey's Anatomy kind of similar to that kind of medical drama, but it's kind of one you can just like pick up and you don't have to, you can zone out a little bit on it. So yeah, that's the current one.
Okay. No,
waiting for some other shows to get the new season out. Sometimes there's a bit of a break between the seasons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What can't you live without on a run? Like what's your what has to be on your person other than your clothing? What do you have to take with you?
I do I feel like I can't run if I'm running with someone. I don't take music. But if I'm on my own, it's always about going if your headphones or your AirPods or what you got have died. Music, Spotify.
No, fair enough. The amount of hours you probably do running is fair enough. Otherwise, you go stir crazy in your own brain. Yeah. Favorite movie? What's have you got an all-time favorite there?
I think off the top of my head, I just like it Christmas time to watch those classic ones
The
holiday,
getting the holiday, the festive love sort of season,
yeah.
No, that's cool. If you weren't a triathlete, what would you be doing? So if you couldn't do what you're doing now, how would you make a living?
I feel like I'd still be kind of in a sport environment. I've worked at a college as like a sports administrator. My background is phys ed, so I could be still probably involved as a coach or something, or something to do with sports.
I don't mean to jinx it. It's the way I worded that question didn't sound very good. Actually, I was just thinking about that, but I wasn't meaning that. I was meaning if you couldn't do your chosen passion, what would you be doing? Yeah. The 3 most used apps on your phone.
Definitely for Instagram. WhatsApp. I feel like a weather app.
That's pretty important. Yeah, windy or something. Yeah. Fair enough. So it's pretty important. And the last one, favorite place. You mentioned Wanaka. So favorite place you've raced in outside of New Zealand for racing or training, I guess in particular, outside of NZ.
Yeah, it's hard. It would easy to say like Wanaka or Taupo or something if it was New Zealand. Outside of it, for the experience, probably Challenge Roth.
Wow, yeah.
For the crowds and everything like that.
It looks mad.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite courses was the Zellensee in Austria. It's lake swim and good climb on the bike. Don't mind a hill and then running by the lake. So
could be worse. Oh, thank you. Didn't mean to put you on the spot with those, but there's always it's always a good way to. Too much time we spend talking about training and these sort of sessions and things that people don't really get to know everybody. So that's part of the goal for this podcast is to try and let people know a little bit that they may not have known an hour ago. That's the goal. So I guess just to open up to you, I don't want to hold you up too much. Is there anyone you want to reach out to that may listen? Friends, family, sponsors that you want to say thanks to, or you want to just in case they are listening?
Yeah, always like my family. My dad and the rest of the family gives me a lot of support. Yeah, and also my coach Rob. And then my the sponsors. I think I mentioned a couple of them. With Precision Hydration.
Pretty important.
Wind Republic. Love racing in there. super comfy tri-suits, and then
amazing kit.
support by so one was Sailfish quite recently. So
Okay, cool.
Loving for their swim skins and tri-suits, and and then also got my lovely Orbea, kind of orangey red bright bike. So
it's one of the coolest ones looking. Yeah.
Orbea, and then Edco is my race wheels.
Wow.
And then also a local New Zealand company, Rome Energy, for protein powder. So
okay,
I think I've got everybody there. So
we can put someone in if we missed. We can edit them back.
I would love. I mean, my next thing was like, what would be cool to have is a car sponsorship, kind of in there.
Yeah, so. It's only fair. So anyone listening out there, it's got a car brand that can put Rebecca's name on the side of it and a roof rack on there, and you'll be away.
If they want shown on the PTO races and things.
Well, it's important too, because it's part of it, is to get that profile out there, and for those that are listening that may be in that position. I mean, someone like Rebecca that's doing incredible things on the world stage is sort of, in my opinion anyway, pretty much, not from your current sponsors, but doesn't have the anywhere near the level of that others do in terms of funding and availability or sponsors. So if there is something you can do, there's opportunity there, because the coverage is massive, and obviously you're putting those brands out there, so there's exposure for them too. So I hope, you never know, if there's a link in the chain somewhere, that would be I'd be 12 months time, if that came out of this, I'd be pretty happy. So I hope that can be passed on. Yeah. Well, from my end, thank you. I could chat for hours. I just love stories about training and racing, what you guys do. As I say, we're triathlon fans first, before we're, as well as doing the coaching side of that from us, which we love. But I really appreciate your time. I can't wait to see what's next, and obviously we'll be staying up all hours of the night watching, or early start, I suppose, watching Kona, refreshing that live tracker and pushing that refresh button in the feed as often as we can. But we genuinely wish you all the best from us, and even in the rest of the New Zealand tri community that may not get to say that. This gives us a platform to say that, but we genuinely thank you for that. It's incredible to watch. Absolutely love it. So well done, and look forward to many more years of seeing you sort of give people a few frights in that swim, and then and stick it to them everywhere else, which is amazing. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Great to chat.
Awesome. I'll just hit the stop button here, but we'll it gives it a second to upload, hopefully, otherwise it fails. But thank you. I appreciate your time. So I was saying